All right, guys. So let's go over the weekly watch list for this week. We'll run through it real quick, and then I've got top picks that I want to take a look at. So, first thing that I need to do. So, I think we have a little bit more of upside here in the markets. Nothing too crazy. We've got 2.5 ATR lining up right with this resistance right here. I think that's going to be a pausing point for us. If we go to the weekly chart, we're starting to get to that 2.5 ATR spot. We're nearing that. Same thing for SPY. We're getting pretty close. Not too much more. It looks like of upside. So that's the first thing. So we do have a setup here, and we might continue to push, but I think we're going to find resistance here somewhere soon. And I just don't think the risk to reward to try to buy and swing trade this higher before a pullback makes sense. So from there, um, take a look at some of these. So Apple here starting to print a monthly squeeze. And so this might be a little later down the line, but we may want to look at picking this one up for a long trade to the upside to make new all-time highs. Uh, we did trade or have been in Google, which we got in right around here. We're up about 16% or so. And so this one's on its way to make a new high. Google looks great here. Amazon, same thing. We are in a monthly squeeze. No buy signals yet, but it looks pretty good here for a monthly squeeze to break out to the upside. Microsoft has already done so. We've got Netflix, which is sitting at the weekly 21. Had a really strong bounce off this. Might be a good place to pick up shares. We might trade sideways for a little longer, but I think this is a pretty solid entry point for longer term swings. From there, I think these semis are kind of extended. You can see NVIDIA outside of the 2.5 ATR on the weekly, AVGO, same thing. They're just starting to get really extended. Uh, Meta nearing that point. Apple nowhere near. Tesla, another one that's setting up that might be worth just looking for a move to 400 if the markets can hold up. I think we might need a more deeper pullback in the markets to kind of slingshot this upside as long as it can hold up. But it might be worth putting a little money towards this and looking for a breakout to 350 and beyond, potentially 400. If it breaks 350, expect a move into 400. But this one has been a laggard, but we do have a weekly squeeze here with some buy signals printing, continuing to hold the 50 week. Um, we went over Amazon. That's with the Mag 7. Apple looks like it's playing some catch up. I think if this starts to lose some steam, kind of like how NVIDIA and AVGO have awesome steam getting extended, I'm kind of thinking, okay, we might see a pullback here in the near future for the overall market. That's just kind of what seems to be setting up here. Because each day this week, you could see, other than Friday, where we did push up, we've kind of been met with selling pressure each time we've tried to move higher, which they've beat it, but you can see the sellers are starting to step in a whole lot more than they were back in here. So I could be completely wrong, and I'm not going to fight the trend, but sometimes it's better to just sit and wait and cash rather than trying to go long when you don't see that there's too much upside left. I'd rather wait for some sort of pullback towards the weekly 9, which is this line right here, or even a pullback to the 21 would be fine, and a little more sideways action. We're only a few dots in a black dot squeeze, so that means the compression is not very high. Um, all right. So now here, a few things I'm looking at. I did miss the initial entry here on APP. I'm hoping we might get a little bit of a pullback. I can get an entry to catch this one to the upside, but from here it's too extended. I can't really chase it from here. So gonna be patient. Um, Great setup, nice earnings beat, and then we blew through 400 on strong volume, which that's what you want to see when uh, are reaching that post earnings point. T-Mobile, this one looks good. We had this nice shakeout after earnings, and now we've just been holding the nine, retesting it over and over. And then we actually started to get a daily buy signal on the daily time frame. So this one looks great as well. I think playing options uh, for December, January expiration at the $30 strike would probably provide some good risk to reward with cutting this below the 21 EMA as your stop out point. KWeb, we played this one a few weeks ago and caught 150%. We entered right around here, and actually on this week right here, we caught this nice move up. And now I'm looking, can we potentially reload and look for a move up into this previous high right here? If we look at some other ones that are setting up within the China space, you see Baba. Price is getting really tight. You can see we have earnings coming up, but this one looks really good as well. High volume buying on this move right here. We retraced here this move, which let's see, it was about a 50% retracement. So now we're holding that. And now I just be looking for, let's get earnings out of the way. And then this would probably be a really nice one to trade to the upside because it looks like we're moving out of stage two. So I'm definitely going to want to keep this on my radar and wait until after earnings. Another one that's been leading is Futu. And this one here, you can see we had some buy signals right here and had this really nice move to the upside. I am looking at the daily here, and this seems to be setting up in a daily squeeze and leading KWeb. You can see KWeb has had its pullback. It's being bought at the 9, just forming its daily squeeze, but Futu, it's got the green trend bars. Um, had a strong day on Friday, but we do have earnings coming up on this one as well. So we kind of have to wait on that, or we can play the run in earnings, which is in about 10 days. Um, GM. So this one has weekly buys and daily buys. So this one looks good for a breakout to the upside. Not the most fun stock in the world, but I think it could provide a pretty nice move to the upside here off this daily or weekly squeeze. You can see it's gone from red to orange, back to red, and now black dot squeeze, which means it's beginning to fire off to the upside. So it's been rejecting 54. So above 54, we can look for a breakout to the upside and catch pretty decent move on this. Earnings report gave us a nice shakeout. You can see here where we wicked down and got fought back up. We go to the daily time frame, and you can see here, nice move back up. So earnings gap down, and then huge buyers stepped in the next day. Now we've had one high buying candle, high volume buying candle, and we've just been low volume ever since. And then you can see here we had below 50% volume on Friday. So price is getting really tight and getting ready to break out. And once we break 54, we should see a pretty clean breakout. ABVV. So this one, weekly buys, $200 price point. If we break out of this, we should see a really nice move back to all-time highs. MA, I'm probably not going to trade this, but the chart does look really good. And I think that Um, this is a good longer term buy opportunity. It's a very slow mover, but these weekly squeezes can provide some pretty good upside and for this stock. Bros, we entered this one on Friday at the 50% retracement. We're down a little bit on it, but this you can look at the volume here. Huge volume showing up. Last times we've had that was here, and then there, which marked the lows, here, which kicked off this huge rally, and then the only other time was where it marked the lows here, and we had a huge move after that. So this is either insiders dumping a ton of stock and this thing's just going to dump, or we're in for a pretty huge move. And I think that this can at least get to $80 and then new all-time highs from here. So this chart looks great in my opinion. We're continuing to shake people out at the 50 weekly 50. This one here, uh, IAU. So this just tracks gold. Great looking flag here. Rising, higher lows. And you can see last buy signals worked nicely. Ones before that worked really well. Ones before that worked really well. So I am looking for a breakout on this one to around that 66. Once we break 65, our calls will be in the money, and we're up pretty decent on those already. ABT, need to look into this one a little bit more, but we've got this cup and handle pattern going on. We've got this huge shakeout and then got bought right back up after that. So um, this one's worth keeping an eye on. It is in the healthcare space, so it makes me a little hesitant, but I like the shakeout that we've had and the recovery after. So that leads me to believe we're at least going to go test 140. BSX, this one's been a little weird, rejecting at the previous highs. So I'm waiting on this one, nothing to do with it. Marble, we finally, you can see here, we're getting above that weekly 50. We also have monthly buy signals here. And so on this one, I think we might be able to see a run into earnings because we do have daily buy signals. And I think we can have a nice run into earnings. We got this weird cup and handle thing going on. And so that's the whole watch list. These are all the stocks that I'm looking at in the next week. Some shorter term ideas, mostly longer term trades, but I think we've got a lot of good looking charts. I think that the overall markets are starting to get a little extended, and then um, once we get a decent pullback, we can look to pick up some relative outperformers. Other than that, we'll kind of just focus on these longer term picture trades. So, all right, guys, hope this helps. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the markets next week.